Welcome to another edition of Turnpike Sports. I am Dave Weisschadel, and as always, I am joined by Doug Weisschadel, producer and co-host. Doug, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It feels good to be back. It's been a couple weeks. We've first new show since we've undergone construction for the new studio.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, was it last week or the week before? I was about 300 miles away trying to do the show. I think we did it via the computer hookup through the board, so I don't know... And I have been very, very hesitant to even listen to it. I didn't even want to hear what I sounded like. So, in the middle of a nor'easter,
it actually sounded pretty good. So,
okay. Well, I'll take your word.
The wonders of modern technology.
I know. Boy, 10 years ago, we couldn't have done that. It's amazing.
Well, hey, even 5 years ago, we couldn't have done that.
Probably not.
All right. So, welcome back to everybody. Free agency's going on. We've got the NCAA championship going on. My bracket is totally destroyed.
Disgusting. I mean, I was done the first weekend. It was, but see, I'm torn because these games have been so damn exciting because the underdogs are winning. And I know to do well in brackets, you really have to pick a bunch of underdogs. I did pick underdogs, but the wrong underdogs. So my brackets are completely destroyed. Destroyed.
But at least free agency is keeping everybody busy, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some amazing moves by the Browns, too, by the way. I never thought I would ever say that. But, it's one of those things. We'll see what happens when it gets to the draft.
I'm back to thinking they're going to take a quarterback now in their first pick.
I think they're doing Darnold.
Apparently he had a great pro day. So he wowed a lot of people.
But how much does a pro day really matter? I mean, they've already made their decision.
Yeah.
They're just doing it to actually do one last piece of due diligence. But I don't know. I'm really tired of seeing USC quarterbacks. Being a Jet fan, Sanchez really soured me on those things. Fumble, all that stuff. It's just one of those things where I don't like a USC quarterback anymore.
But they're great quarterbacks in college, though. They are great quarterbacks in college. But we shall see. We shall see. But like I said, it's been a busy week, so let's head on out to the Turnpike.
Exit 1.
We've got the MLB, Major League Baseball, is following the lead of the NFL and the NBA, and they're going across the pond next year.
To London, yeah. Well, we knew this was going to happen. I mean, everyone's going to London. It's one of those markets that you want to get into if you're a professional sports league.
But you know what? It's weird because the overseas in Europe, NFL and NBA have been able to get some market penetration. I don't think Major League Baseball can catch on as quickly over there as those other two sports.
You know what? I think Major League Baseball will do well. I mean, in this country, everyone sees it as slow and plodding, and but in London, soccer is king, and for me, that's slow and plodding. Cricket, what is it? 3-4 days out of a match?
Yep.
A Yankees-Red Sox game would last 3, 4, or 5 hours.
Well, let me ask you this: going to Yankees-Red Sox, is it really because of those two teams as being a historic rivalry, or is it because the two clubs have ties to soccer teams over in the Premier League, which is where they're being held in that same stadium?
Absolutely. I think ownership of both baseball teams own. I know Yes carries. Is it Manchester United? Yes Network.
Yep. Well, the Yankees have a chunk of that.
Yeah, I know. Or is it Manchester or is it Arsenal?
That one you got me, because all I know is the Yankees have a team that's in first place and the Red Sox have a team that's in third place.
Yeah. Well, I think the bigger issue is where is the ticket money going? Is it a home team for the Red Sox? Is it a home game for the Yankees? What's going on there?
That's all being worked out. And, they've done games in Japan, Mexico, Australia, Puerto Rico. This is the first time they're actually having London. Supposedly they had, and I didn't even know this, they had an exhibition last year of like a home run derby or something like that.
Really?
I actually would have thought they would have tried to do an all-star game there.
See, that would have been interesting. That would have been wouldn't have been bad. And by the way, I read something that win or lose, every player gets $60,000 for playing in the overseas game.
And they get a chance. Nice. They get a chance to be sick and jet lagged when they come back.
Well, hey, if they're going to Japan's 13-hour flight.
But they give them some extra time off to deal with that too. So let's see what happens with that.
Exit 2.
We've got a new kid on the block when it comes to football.
I love this.
We just had Vince McMahon from WWE announce that the XFL is going to relaunch or launch again or whatever you want to call it in 2020. That
wasn't bad. I like the He Hate Me, and I still have my New York, New Jersey Hitman hats. So hopefully they'll come back so I can wear it again.
Well, this one is the Alliance of American Football. And I think this one may have a chance.
You got some big names attached to it.
Yeah, you got Bill Polian, you got Ebersol.
Yep. Who was involved with the XFL, wasn't he? Or
no, that was
USFL?
His father. That was his father.
His father was involved in it.
Yeah, but you also have Justin Tuck. You have Troy Polamalu, who's involved in it. I like what they're doing with the players because they're actually announced. They just announced it. It's the American Football Alliance of American Football. Thank God they took the L off it because it would have been the acronym awful. So it's one of those things where, but they're going to have 8 teams, 10 weeks, short season. They're not going to compete with the NFL. They're going to take undrafted players and people that did not enter the NFL draft.
See, I like that. I think that might make the NFL a better product because, it's a developmental league. It's an actual developmental league.
They're going to.
I know they're not going to call it that. But
well, and all the stuff I've been reading, I did notice there were statements saying that we're not going to compete with the NFL yet.
Good.
So they're going to have shorter games, no TV timeouts, no kickoffs, no extra point attempts. It's all going to be 2-point conversion tries. And they're also going to be, right off the bat, having a fantasy component mixed in with everything.
See, that's great. I like that. I like the fact that they're going to have a fantasy component. And you know what? You mentioned no TV timeouts. The important thing about this new league, and all of a sudden they have a television contract with CBS.
They have a television contract with CBS Sports Network,
yep.
And they've also got to deal with 2 primetime games on CBS.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Which the XFL does not have. They have no outlet for the XFL.
Oh, good for them. Hey, more football is always a good thing. As a fan of the USFL, I remember that when I was in high school, and I still have my New Jersey Generals hat and shirt, but I can't wait for more football.
I just hope this survives. This is going to be like the 6th or 7th independent league outside the NFL that's going to try this. I just want to see one survive.
Exit 3.
Staying with the NFL, the final price tag for the new Raiders Stadium in Vegas has been unveiled. $1.8 billion.
$1.8 billion is a lot of money, but let me tell you something. It's cheaper than the estimate they floated out before. I don't know how they brought it down, and I didn't see the stats or the spreadsheets, but they actually came down from, $1.9 billion, and they brought it down.
They took out the practice facility.
Oh, okay. Where are they going to practice?
Well, no, they didn't put it in the proposal.
Oh, okay.
So basically, the breakdown: $850 million is coming from the Raiders, $750 million is coming from hotel room tax money from Vegas, and then we have $200 million coming from the NFL's loan program. It's supposed to be $1.9 billion. They originally came out with $2.1 billion. Now they've knocked it all the way down to $1.8.
Now let me ask you: is it the Raiders stadium? Do they own it? I almost said Oakland Raiders. Does the Raiders own that?
The Raiders will own it. Yes.
Okay. Well, then they're going to rent it out to
and they're
other
also
events.
The Raiders are also going to be homeless in next year, 2019. Their lease ends in Oakland in 2018. This stadium's not going to be ready until 2020. They got to find a home.
So why don't they make that move earlier? I mean, they can go to Vegas. They can play in UNLV's stadium or something like that.
They don't have permission to do that. So we'll see what happens with that. It'll be fun to see this.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Exit 4.
We are now approaching April, and there's still no sign of a decision from the Supreme Court on the sports betting case in New Jersey.
This is such a big story in New Jersey, but it's spreading. I mean, it's such a big story nationwide. My interview this week is with Adam Small from PennBets.com and NJOnlineGambling.com, and we're going to talk about another state who has enacted a sports betting law, which is West Virginia. West Virginia is going to be a player in sports betting, so it's a huge story.
Well, New Jersey's already accepting applications, so they're assuming it's going to go forward. So, and a lot of states are betting on this too. There's over 20 states that have sports betting legislation on the books already.
A great follow on Twitter is Darren Rovell, and he is stationed, I think, every time a decision comes out from the U.S. Supreme Court. You never know what decision they're going to rule on. So Darren Rovell has been at the Monmouth Racetrack waiting for the decision. And for people who don't know, Monmouth Racetrack has the William Hill Sports Bar right now. And as soon as this decision comes down in New Jersey's favor, it's going to automatically switch to the William Hill Sports Book.
That's correct.
Do they have the sign already for it? I know there's a big X over the bar and just put book over it.
Honestly, I haven't been down there, so I don't know exactly how they're set up. But it used to be the Paddock Bar and Grill.
Okay, yeah. Well, hopefully Darren will tweet about that, how they're going to handle the turnover. But now you told me there's a rumor that as soon as the decision comes down, they said they were going to try and start taking bets immediately.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
There's no way is that going to happen.
There's not enough regulation in place for all this. So, that's wishful thinking. But you know what? Let them try it.
Hey, good for them. Hey, you know what? Like I said in the interview, this is a great marketing thing for Monmouth Racetrack. I mean, we're talking about it right now. So,
yeah. Well, that's it for the ride on the Turnpike. So, everybody, if you want to contact the show, call or text us at 609-512-6510, 609-512-6510. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Turnpike Sports for both of those, or email us at info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget to order your International Bikini Team calendars. They're $10. Email the International Bikini Team directly at info@internationalbikiniteam.org for information on how to get your calendar.
And stick around later on. Like I said, I'm going to talk to Adam Small from PennBets.com and NJOnlineGambling.com, and we're going to talk about the new sports betting law in West Virginia. Yeah, the Mountaineer State's getting involved in sports betting, so we shall see.
All right, everybody, stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff that will spice up your bedroom is even better. Just go to adamandeve.com and select almost any one item for 50% off, and then we'll load on the free stuff. Just enter this very exclusive code, BABE16 at checkout, and you'll get 10 tantalizing free gifts, including a sexy item for him, a special toy for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy. And for your viewing pleasure, 6 free spicy movies on DVD, plus free shipping! Always sent in discreet packaging. So go to adamandeve.com now. Get 50% off plus 10 free gifts when you enter the exclusive offer code BABE16. Again, that's BABE16. Because without it, no free stuff. That's BABE16 at adamandeve.com.
You've been hearing me talk about MyPillow and the benefits of using it to get a good night's sleep, alleviate your sore neck and back, and the special deal you can get from MyPillow through the show. Well, not only can you pick up the special deal for 4 MyPillows when you use promo code CARDS, but now you can get $100 off your purchase of the MyPillow mattress. Yeah, that's right, the MyPillow mattress. The MyPillow mattress comes with a 10-year warranty and a 120-day money-back guarantee. The MyPillow mattress is made up of 3 unique layers, providing you the comfort and support to fall asleep and stay asleep all night. It even has the luxurious Dream Soft cover, which is stain-resistant and stays cool all night. Just head on over to MyPillow.com, click on the MyPillow mattress link, and enter promo code CARDS at checkout to get $100 off your order. Or call 1-800-319-7913 to order by phone. That's MyPillow.com, or call 1-800-319-7913 and use promo code CARDS. Better sleep starts with MyPillow.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, every week I know we have the Turnpike Sports Police Blotter, and I've been scouring Twitter just to see if the things I find or hear about make it to the blotter. This is a big test, Doug. So it's time for my favorite portion of the show, the Turnpike Sports Police Blotter. And as always, the Turnpike Sports Police Blotter is brought to you by Bean Genius. Over 2,000 specialty blends of coffee available at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Have some of the best coffee in the country delivered right to your door each month when you subscribe to Bean Genius. And now get 10% off your subscription when you sign up at beangenius.com using our promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E, at checkout. Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service.
Gotta love the alliteration in the morning.
Oh, my God, that's so hard to say. That is so hard to say.
Well, you did it, and you did it without skipping a beat there. So that was good. That was good. All right, we're going to start off with a crazy story. This is involving Buffalo Bills wide receiver Zay Jones and his brother Vikings wide receiver Caleb Jones.
This is one I read about on Twitter. This is great.
Well,
I think TMZ had it, right?
TMZ, ESPN, a whole bunch of other ones. SI had it. It was everywhere, and it's just a weird story. The police responded to a call about someone running around in a hallway, breaking windows, breaking doors. And it turns out when the cops got there, it was Zay Jones. He was running around having a fight with his brother. He was naked, which was interesting. There was blood on the walls, blood on the floor. And his brother was trying to stop him from jumping out of a 30-story window.
Wow. Boy, that is insane. First off, I saw a picture. Are there witnesses to this? Because who took a picture of this thing?
There's cell phone video from everywhere. Plus, also, Zay Jones was actually supposedly running down the hallway to someone's door and banging on it, too.
I saw the picture of him and I think his brother in the hallway.
Yep.
Someone must have opened their door and snapped a shot.
And if you haven't seen the video, you also have Zay Jones shouting, "I want to fight for Jesus."
Oh, right.
So,
okay, what was the situation there?
No one knows. It's still developing. Mystery, huh? This is a weird thing. Zay Jones is now back with his parents, staying there. They're watching out for him.
Okay, good. Something's terribly wrong there. Boy, I hope he gets help or have something.
Well, he was arrested
done.
for felony vandalism.
Okay,
but
I guess it's breaking the windows, right?
And the doors and whatever else. But from what I understand, no charges are going to be filed, because there's insufficient evidence in terms of what was going on.
Okay.
So there's no charges going on. He's still on the Bills. No comment from the team about what's happening to him.
I guess they have to do an investigation, too.
So does the NFL.
The NFL, too, yeah. Okay.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what this kid does. He wasn't too... I remember watching him in a couple games. He got a couple concussions, too. So
wow.
We may have the beginning of something else there. But you never know with this stuff. It was just a crazy situation. There's really not enough out there to...
It was all over social media, so...
Well, most of this kind of crazy stuff is, especially when there's broken windows and a 30-story window involved.
And everyone has a cell phone camera.
Of course. Next up, we have former NBA player Steve Francis. He was arrested for public intoxication at a hotel bar. Police responded to a call of an unruly patron.
Boy, what a rough week for hotel patrons.
Tell me about it.
Have to deal with professional sports guys.
Well, he was arrested. The police arrived. They observed him for a while, and they arrested him for being publicly intoxicated. And according to the cops, the statement they gave the press, or whatever they were given the statement to here, he was a danger to himself and to others around him.
Well, I'm glad he didn't get into a car or something like that. I guess that's what they were watching for.
From what I understand, he's always had trouble with alcohol. This is what cost him his career in the NBA. He left the league because of his alcohol abuse.
Wow.
Yeah, he played from 99 to 08. He was with the Rockets, the Magic, the Knicks, and then he ended up back at the Rockets. And in that last year, he went into rehab because he had alcohol problems. And he's been in and out of rehab all this time.
Now, were these undercover cops? Because you'd have to be really drunk not to notice cops staring and observing you, and you're still acting like this.
Well, from what I've been reading, it's not clear whether they were undercover. It also could have been hotel security observing them for a while, and they just included that all in the mix. So it's one of those things where, again, public intoxication.
These guys are lucky that, the brother wasn't the first story you had, but this guy is lucky they didn't have any pictures because everyone has
I'm sure there's security cameras. I'm sure there's security footage.
The other patrons.
Well, again, it's one of those things. It's public intoxication in a hotel bar. Somebody's got footage somewhere.
Sure.
It's going to show up somewhere. Next up, this one I thought was more interesting than the Zay Jones one. We have former NBA player Glenn Big Baby Davis, former Celtic, Magic, and Clipper player.
Is he still in the league?
No, he's out.
Okay.
And probably after this, he probably will still be out. He was arrested at a Hampton Inn in Maryland on possession and intent to distribute charges.
Wow.
This was a little confusing to me because I had to read a couple different reports because it was just odd. According to the police report, they were called by hotel management for an eviction of a guest.
Was he the guest?
Here, this is where it gets weird. When the police arrived, when the hotel management explained to the police that they went up to a room to try and get a guest out. They smelled marijuana. They tried to evict the guest. They banged on the door. The guest was, quote unquote, extremely rude to the hotel employee. So they called the police. The police came to do the exact same thing. They smelled the marijuana too. They knocked on the door. No one was there. No answer. Hotel management let them in, and while they were there with the door open, it was an empty room at that time. As they were there, Big Baby Davis, another guy, comes strolling down the hallway and talks to the cops and gives them permission to search the room.
So it was his room?
It was his room,
okay.
And he gave permission to search.
All right, okay.
So here, when they searched it, let me go through the list here. They found 126 grams of marijuana, packing material, a suitcase full of $92,000 in cash, and get this, a ledger keeping track of what looked like drug deals.
Did he not know he had that in his room before he let them?
I would hope he didn't realize it, but the drug paraphernalia was in plain view, so they found that right away.
Okay.
Then they, after searching everything, they found all the other stuff, the suitcase full of cash, the ledger. Then he goes ahead and puts up a Instagram video telling all his quote-unquote fans, don't believe everything you're hearing. All the truth will come out when he has his day in court. I don't know if that made matters worse or that was just...
Well, I guess we have to wait to see what's going on. So allegedly he got nailed with all this stuff, and now he has an explanation for it. Okay, well let's wait and see what the explanation is. But
I know the
that's
easy joke
weird.
Is for that Instagram video, he must have been high to do that.
Yeah,
but,
boy, that's bizarre. Boy, and another hotel story. What hotels this week?
Well,
stay out of hotels, everyone. It's
we know
crazy.
He will never get an endorsement from the Hampton Inn.
Yeah,
so
boy.
You never see him doing commercials for them.
Wow.
All right, last up. University of Michigan, and before I get into, I only did this because the title of this guy's position with the school was just unique.
Does it involve a hotel?
No hotels.
No hotels.
University of Michigan Director of Performance Science.
Oh, okay.
Fergus Connolly was arrested for suspicion of drunk driving.
All right.
Now, I had to look up what a Director of Performance Science does. He's in charge of training, nutrition, and fitness for the athletes at the university.
Huh. Okay.
I never even heard of that title before, but he does that. No charges have been filed because they're still waiting for lab results on his blood.
Okay.
They say it's going to take a couple weeks for that.
So he allegedly was driving drunk. Wait, they pull him over because he was swerving or something? Or
the reason for the stop wasn't clear. They said it was a traffic violation, so it could have been lane change, could have been speeding, could have been swerving, could have been anything.
So
could have been going through a red light.
Okay.
But they pulled him over before midnight the night he was arrested, so it was an early night for him. And this guy, he was also the director of elite performance for the San Francisco 49ers.
Huh.
I don't know what an elite performance director does. I guess it's the same thing. It's like Chip Kelly with the nutrition stuff.
I guess so. Boy, it's well, I guess we have to wait to see what the hell happened with this guy. So
he's still with the school. They haven't released him. They haven't made any comments yet. And finally, one last update. A couple weeks ago, I did a story on the Jets linebacker Dylan Donahue.
Now, is this the guy that was going the wrong way in the Lincoln Tunnel?
Yes.
Okay.
Comes out, he has more DUI charges pending in Montana.
Okay.
He's checked himself into substance abuse center, and the Jets are sticking by him. They're not going to release him.
Well, I guess, are they doing an investigation, or are they just...
They're letting it work itself out legally first. Because you got to wait on 2 states now.
Oh, okay. Well,
all right, that's it for the blotter. Again, go to beangenius.com, subscription, use our promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E, to get 10% off your purchase at beangenius.com.
And stick around for my interview with Adam Small from PennBets.com and NJOnlineGambling.com, and we're going to talk about the new sports betting law out of West Virginia. Yep, they're becoming a major player in the sports betting field. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Dave Weishaupt with you here.
You know, Pennsylvania and New Jersey are extremely important gambling states in this country. So important that they affect the states around them. One of those states is West Virginia, which is doing some interesting things with regard to gambling in their state. And to help us sort through a new law in West Virginia, we welcome back Adam Small from PennBets.com and NJOnlineGambling.com. Adam, welcome back.
Hey, Dave. It's great to be back on the show. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You know, last fall when Pennsylvania enacted its gambling expansion law, how much pressure did West Virginia feel to do something with regard to gambling in the state?
I'm not sure how much pressure the whole state felt, but there was one lawmaker in particular, Sean Fluharty, who was really pushing it hard on social media, in the legislature, and he was a guy that I wasn't particularly familiar with before, but has kind of made a name for himself as a big advocate of online gambling and of sports betting, particularly for West Virginia, seeing that as I guess part of the solution to some of the economic problems in the state and budget problems and things like that. And so he was pushing it real hard, and I guess he was able to pick up support from the West Virginia Lottery, which regulates the casinos that are there in the state. And between the two of them, they were able to get the legislature to make this thing happen.
You know, for those who are not familiar with West Virginia, me included, can you give us a lay of the land, what gambling looks like in West Virginia right now, and where are the casinos located in that state?
Sure, yeah. So there are 5 casinos in West Virginia. 4 of them are open to the public. Then there's one at the Greenbrier, which is a really fancy 5-star resort kind of in the middle of nowhere that has a casino only for guests of the hotel. The other 4 are really all around the state. There's one in Charlestown, West Virginia, which is close to Washington, D.C., maybe an hour away in the eastern panhandle of the state. There are 2 in the northern panhandle of the state, close to Wheeling, West Virginia, which is about an hour west of Pittsburgh. And then there is one right outside of Charleston, the capital, which is kind of in the middle of the state. And so 5 total casinos, 4 open to the public. All of them are pretty new. I think the first one's opened in 2008. So there wasn't really any casino industry. I actually grew up in Charleston, and there were no casinos at all there when I was living there. I left in 1999, and really the casinos have come in quite a bit more recently. But they've become a big part of, I guess, the state's plans overall, and it looks like the state's looking to do more.
You know, reading your great article in PennBets.com, it looks like, you know, when we talk about brick-and-mortar casinos, that West Virginia is just as big a competitor to Pennsylvania as New Jersey is. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
I wouldn't say it's just as big of a competitor, but it's definitely a competitor in some key markets, and particularly in the Pittsburgh area. There are now a couple of casinos in Pennsylvania in the Pittsburgh area as well. But those 2 casinos up in the northern panhandle of West Virginia were there before any of the Pittsburgh area casinos were open. There was a racetrack, but no actual table games or anything like that. And so they did attract a lot of Pennsylvania customers, and there are a lot of people from Pittsburgh and around there in the databases of those 2 facilities. And yeah, it's definitely heavily competitive for that metro. In the Philly area, which is obviously a bigger metropolitan area, you've got more of the people kind of playing around Philly and in Atlantic City and in I guess Maryland Live and places like that. But yeah, definitely around Pittsburgh. A lot of people are going over to West Virginia still to gamble.
You know, when we talk to anyone in the gambling world nowadays, it seems that the first thing they talk about is sports betting, and West Virginia just became a very important player in the sports betting world. What exactly happened very recently with regard to West Virginia and sports betting?
Sure, yeah. So West Virginia became the first state in 2018 to pass a sports betting law. And this is something that a few states have already done. There's the 6th state overall to have done it first this year. But around 20 other states are actually considering doing it. It seems like there's a new one popping up every week, a new bill coming into play in states all over the country, really. And what these states are doing is preparing for a future where there is no longer the federal law PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which prevents these states from having legal and licensed sports betting. This law passed in 1992, and it basically, for all intents and purposes, prohibits everybody except Nevada from having legal sports betting. It actually names 4 states in the law, but the other 3 don't have a full suite of sports betting options. They'll have something simple like Super Bowl squares or like lottery pools or something like that, but they don't have actual single game wagering where you just bet on whatever team to win. So Nevada's really the only place you can do that now. New Jersey had a chance to do it when the law originally passed, but never passed sports betting legislation, and since then they've decided they wanted to do it. So they're challenging PASPA in the United States Supreme Court. We're expecting a finding in that case, could be any day now, and when that finding comes out, if PASPA gets overturned by the Supreme Court, which a lot of people believe will happen, all of these states that have passed sports betting legislation will be able to start offering sports betting very soon, as long as their state regulators are ready to oversee that. And so in states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and now West Virginia, as well as a few others, sports betting could be a thing that's happening in casinos or in legal establishments by later this year.
Now I know New Jersey's law is the sports betting is confined to casinos and racetracks. Is that the same thing with regard to West Virginia's law? Or do they have a similar provision with just like New Jersey's?
Correct. Yes. The state's casinos would be the only places that would be able to offer betting on sports. It does seem that online is also a part of this, so there'd be an expectation that there would be online sports wagering as well, but almost certainly just through these casinos' licenses, not through new additional licensees.
Now, I know the former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, said that once the Supreme Court decision allowing sports betting is handed down, Jersey can start taking bets within 2 weeks, I think he said. How quickly can West Virginia implement sports betting once a decision allowing sports betting is released?
I would say not as quickly.
Okay.
I also am skeptical of New Jersey's claims that they can do it that fast as well. I also recently spoke to the CEO of Monmouth Park, who is very optimistic about that timeline too. And of course, those people are in this day to day and know what they're talking about. I feel like there are going to be some hiccups along the way, and it also depends on what the Supreme Court finding is, because there are several different ways that this case could go. One of them is that PASPA gets overturned completely. Mm-hmm. In that case, we'd be looking at a situation where these states would be creating a regulatory system for sports betting.
And that's best case scenario right there, if PASPA is unconstitutional and everyone can do whatever they want, right?
Correct, yeah. I mean, that would be the situation that all these states are preparing for, and it's also the only finding that would benefit states like Pennsylvania and West Virginia in this case. And if that happens, I think we're looking at a period of at least a few months where these states are setting up their regulatory systems and their regulations and sort of getting everything ready, although in some states it could be faster than others, depending on how much preparation they've done to this point. In New Jersey, it's a little bit different because there's the option in the Supreme Court that some people call the narrow repeal or partial repeal, where PASPA is not overturned, but the Supreme Court rules that the New Jersey law, which was passed in 2014 and allows for basically a non-state regulator in the state, that they might rule that option is actually fine, and they keep PASPA in place but allow New Jersey to proceed with their plans, in which case New Jersey would be using a sort of an industry group to self-regulate, which is probably, in my opinion, going to run into some other legal challenges. Yeah. But what they're saying and what the optimists in New Jersey believe about this is that they can start taking bets very quickly, because this association that is set up to regulate the casinos already exists and is kind of ready to go with this, and was actually ready to go years ago before this whole case started. And so under that scenario, and I know I'm not alone in believing this, I think that there's a lot of unknown to be coming going forward. Monmouth Park and places like that would like to believe and seem to believe that they'll just be able to proceed and that'll be that. But I think that there's a lot of different ways things could play out, and certainly for states like Pennsylvania and West Virginia, it would put a damper on their plans.
Now, under that second scenario that you mentioned, that it's narrowly tailored toward the New Jersey law, I mean, for Pennsylvania and West Virginia, is it back to the drawing board with regard to the new sports betting law that they passed, or would they have to massage it along and try and figure out how to fit their law into that decision by the Supreme Court?
I think that what I'm hearing mostly from people in the know about this is that it would probably mean that their plans would just be shut down for now. Mm-hmm. There could potentially be other states that look at allowing this type of option, but every state is so different. As we learn every time we hear about gambling legislation, just the debate is so different from state to state, depending on things like that state's constitution and the players involved in terms of who are the active stakeholders in gambling in the state and things like that. And so it's far from a guarantee that a West Virginia or Pennsylvania would even pursue private regulation of their industries. I think that most people believe they would not, and that New Jersey is a fairly unique case, if not a completely unique case.
You know, you mentioned you spoke to Monmouth Park, and I got to ask you this, and it was a rumor, and I've heard stories about it, and I've talked to gambling writers and gambling attorneys. They were saying that a couple weeks ago, the Supreme Court handed down some decisions, but they don't tell you what decisions they're going to hand down that Monday. And what was heard was there was a lot of writers at Monmouth Park because they said if the decision came down that day, they were going to start taking bets, which I didn't think that would be possible. But some people were tweeting about it, and some people were talking about it. There was no way in hell they could start taking bets, right? When an hour after the decision is handed down, correct?
I mean, I would certainly think not.
I don't see how they could do it, but the rumors were out there.
On the other hand, I mean, it might just be that it's actually legal for them to do so, since they're not overseen by the state. At that point, it might just be that they say, well, you know, the law is the law, and it says we can take bets, so we're going to take them. I wouldn't completely rule out that outcome, although I think it's kind of a dubious claim. But I thought that Darren Rovell on Twitter, the writer for ESPN,
I think he was one of the guys that were there.
Yeah, he's been at Monmouth Park every single day that Supreme Court findings have been handed down, just in case that's the day that the sports betting finding comes out. And he actually tweeted today, this morning, I read, he tweeted himself at Monmouth Park in the sports bar, which is branded by William Hill and will eventually be the sports book. He said, if the Supreme Court makes its decision today, I'm reading his Twitter right now, and allows states to make their own calls as to sports gambling, this sports bar at Monmouth Park in New Jersey hopes to be a sports book by the NCAA men's basketball final, April 2nd. I have a hard time with it. I guess it's possible, particularly, I think that there's a problem with his tweet, and that he says it allows states to make their own calls, which would sort of signify that pass was overturned, in which case I think that we'd be looking at a state regulation in New Jersey, not for things to be done by TISWA, which is the organization of industry people that are set up to oversee it right now. So, I mean, Dennis Drazen, who's the CEO of Monmouth Park, told me that what they would do is operate under private regulation until the state regulations are ready to go. Again, I just never heard of anything like that. In New Jersey, everything is always done really by the book, very carefully. Online gambling was a many-month timeline from when they passed the law to when the sites were up and running, and there was a soft launch, and everything was set up with firm dates on how it was all going to work and licensing procedures. I find it really unlikely that the state would be cool with letting them be privately regulated in the meantime while they wait for the state regulation.
I got to tell you, it's a brilliant marketing plan, but we're a national radio show and we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for them.
I fully back their enthusiasm. I'm impressed by it, and I'm impressed by the just the ambition and the aggression with which they're pursuing it all. I feel like the New Jersey Department of Gaming Enforcement is going to tap the brakes a little bit and make sure that they get everything right so that they don't have some big problem in the months leading up to the real launch of regulated sports betting in the state.
Well, is there anything in the casinos in West Virginia? Are they doing anything in preparation for the Supreme Court decision? Like we said, Monmouth Park is talking about it. I know Borgata mentioned MGM is going to build them a $7 million sports book. The new casinos are coming. And have there been any statements or press releases from the casinos in West Virginia about how they're going to handle the sports betting if it's allowed?
I have not heard anything to that effect yet, and this law is it's very, very new. Everybody, I'm sure, is still kind of processing what this means. And it happened so fast. Unlike New Jersey, which has had years to think about this and prepare for this and been, enveloped in all this litigation, West Virginia really just started talking about this a few months ago, and now all of a sudden they have a law in place. And I'm sure that behind the scenes, the West Virginia Lottery and the casinos are talking about this and figuring out, all the details and how it's going to work. But as far as I know, there have not been any public announcements yet.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. New Jersey's online gambling market is loaded with so many different sites and all kinds of promotions, it's enough to make your head spin like the reels on an old-time Atlantic City slot machine. So how do you make sense of all that information floating out there in cyberspace? Well, you don't have to. That's because the folks at njonlinegambling.com have done all of that for you. njonlinegambling.com is your complete resource for all the online sites in New Jersey. Which games have the biggest jackpots? njonlinegambling.com has the answer. Which sites use PayPal for deposits? njonlinegambling.com has the answer. njonlinegambling.com is the most trusted guide to the New Jersey online gambling market. Industry news, site reviews, the latest slots, table games, poker, they got it all in one spot. It's the ultimate resource for online players in New Jersey. They even got the best sign-up offers, better than some of the ones being offered by the online casinos themselves. Look, they say bet with your head. So why not do the same before you bet and check out njonlinegambling.com, the most trusted resource around for New Jersey's online gambling market. Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. For those of you just joining us, I'm talking with Adam Small from PennBets.com and njonlinegambling.com. How different is West Virginia's law compared to Pennsylvania's gambling expansion? I know they had a section allowing sports betting. Now, I know Pennsylvania calls for a pretty big tax rate. How about West Virginia? Do they have something similar to Pennsylvania?
It's very, very different. In West Virginia, we're looking at a $100,000 upfront licensing fee for sports betting.
Wow.
And a 10% tax rate on gross gaming revenue, which is pretty close to, I guess it's not too far off of what Nevada does, which is a 6.75% tax on GGR. West Virginia would be the next lowest, at least of the states that have announced a tax rate. Some of the states that have passed sports betting laws haven't even said what the tax rate will be. But in Pennsylvania, the tax rate is actually set at 36%,
wow,
which is pretty absurdly high. It's gonna be very problematic for the operators there because, contrary to popular belief, online betting and online gambling is not a high margin product for the people who offer it. They've got tremendous marketing expenses and a lot of overhead and compliance, and it's fairly low margin. They make their money off of volume. And so it's going to be very difficult for these to be profitable enterprises, and probably the casinos in Pennsylvania will be primarily using them, if they use them at all, for bringing customers in who they hope will make them money in other ways in the facilities. Now, in Pennsylvania, also there's a $10 million upfront licensing fee, which is, it's almost just unthinkable for a single state in this industry. But Pennsylvania also is just kind of famous and well known now in the industry for being at the top of the list of highest rates on everything: tax rates, licensing fees, all of that for their gambling operators. And that's the compromise that the gambling industry has made to be able to set up shop in that state. And it's really amazingly worked for Pennsylvania to this point. They have very prosperous casinos that generate a lot of revenue and a lot of tax revenue despite the tax rates. And they're doing the same thing with online gambling with a 54% rate on slots. And they're doing the same thing with sports betting with the industry high tax rate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was looking at the tax rates for both states. I mean, is there a chance that in the future Pennsylvania could adjust the tax rate in light of what West Virginia is doing? I mean, if West Virginia lowers tax rate is affecting businesses in Pennsylvania, could that convince legislators that something has to be done? Or, hey, you know what? If the casinos are going to pay, we're going to sit back and take it.
Yeah, it's possible. The legislature certainly can. There's nothing preventing them from doing it. But it seems very unlikely to me. Pennsylvania has already been down this road with their casinos, with brick and mortar, and despite how much higher the rates are in Philadelphia than they are in Atlantic City, which is only an hour away, the casinos in Pennsylvania have done very well. There are several of them in Philly, and the new one, Philadelphia Live, is going to be opening probably next year or the year after. And it's very clear that that's a market that people in the industry want to be in, and that all these different casinos that are in Pennsylvania, 12 now and 13 once Philadelphia Live opens, are there and operating for a reason. Sands Bethlehem just sold for $1.3 billion to an Indian tribe in Alabama. It's very clear that people place a high value on these properties, and I think with online and with sports betting, it's going to be the same thing. They've got their own unique calculus in that state that's telling them these are the rates we're going to charge, and this is what's going to work for us. And despite a lot of protests from the industry and a lot of skepticism from people like myself, they've got this thing working, and they're the second biggest gambling market in the U.S. As far as I know.
Now I know in the other states when the state legislatures draft their sports betting bills, some of the pro leagues chimed in with their recommendations of what should be in the bills. I know West Virginia doesn't. Yeah, I know West Virginia doesn't have a pro team, but as you said, Pittsburgh and Washington are pretty close to some of the casinos. Did any of the pro leagues get involved in West Virginia's draft of the new law?
They did. There were lobbyists from the NBA and Major League Baseball. I don't believe the NFL or NHL were involved, but Major League Baseball and the NBA had people in Charleston throughout the process these last few months. But from my understanding, they got involved a bit late. They only brought lobbyists to the state in really the last year, whereas the casinos in West Virginia, which have deep ties politically to the state legislature and have for many years, were in favor of this bill as is. And so the sports lobbyists didn't really build the relationships that they needed probably in the state, and didn't have the tax base behind them to really manipulate that situation the way they wanted to. And yet the governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, still seems to be kind of on the fence. It's strange because the law is passed, and it would be very odd to go back after the votes are in and make a new play for something like this. But Justice is out there saying that he'd like to see legislators have a special session or something like that and rethink whether or or not the sports leagues get a cut. But to me, it seems very unlikely that it would go down that way. I mean, these things typically happen as part of the negotiation process for getting a bill passed, not as something after the fact once the law is already on the books.
So what you're talking about is the integrity fee with the sports league one. Did they? Which I love the name of it, by the way, integrity fee. So is there a chance that, like you said, that would have to be written into the bill? I mean, down the road, the sports teams can't come and say, like in the other states, we want 1% of all the bets placed. Do you see that happening, or probably not? West Virginia is going to get away without paying the leagues.
Yeah, I think West Virginia is going to get away without paying the leagues, and as of yet, no law has passed in any state with an integrity fee in it. And integrity fee to me, like you said, is a very funny name. It makes me think of like the protection racket, basically. Like, hey, you need our insurance, so a fire doesn't start in your house. Wink, wink. That's a lot what this sounds like to me. Like, are they threatening that the games won't have integrity if they're not paid this fee? I don't think that's what they're saying. They certainly wouldn't want to say it that way. You would think that the NBA and Major League Baseball and other leagues are already investing many millions of dollars in integrity, regardless of whether sports betting is legalized in the United States. So they have a very weak argument on that front. Now, they've taken the argument to in another direction at times and said that this is actually a situation about our rights to this data, that this product is ours, and if other companies are going to make money off it, that we deserve a piece of that. And I think that argument will probably get them a little bit more sympathy, but it's a hard sell to states. We've already got a pretty low margin product with a lot of kind of hands out trying to get a piece of this pie. And the sports leagues, as everyone knows, are very, very profitable and prosperous, and are just kind of trying to get a piece of something that they're not really doing anything to create. All they're doing is getting out of the way to let these laws pass in states where they have a lot of influence. And in West Virginia, they didn't have enough influence to block it. I don't really know that any state's actually going to get this. I guess if I had to guess, I would say probably some will, at least small ones. But as of yet, it's been a failed argument for the leagues.
I did some research, and I found that only 2 countries in the world allow an integrity fee, Australia and France, and that's pretty much it. They allow the sports teams to get involved in calling it an integrity fee. So I'm not sure how great their argument is going to be in this country.
Yeah, it's tough too. I mean, it's really the only real argument they're making is we have a lot of sway over legislatures, and we're not going to support this unless we get paid. And when you say it like that, it sounds very seedy, and I don't think the public can really get behind arguments like that. And if the public doesn't buy it, then I'm just not sure that the legislators are going to be afraid of crossing them on this. And the leagues want this. The leagues want these sports betting laws to pass, even if they won't publicly support it. It's good for them to have sports betting out there and legal. And they're basically they're offering something they already want in exchange for something else they want in this negotiation. And for people who can see through that, I think it makes it just a very hard sell for the leagues to get what they're asking for here. I'm skeptical of at times just why they're doing it, because I just don't think it's that much money for them in the scheme of things, even if it's somewhere in the 8 figures. Split up among all the leagues per year, it's just not very much money to these leagues that do multiple billions per year. So it's a little strange to me that they're kind of putting their credibility on the line in this way to try to get what amounts to a pretty small amount of money for them.
And also the U.S. Supreme Court case involving sports betting has the NCAA as a party to it. Now, when we talk about the NCAA, and when I think of NCAA and West Virginia, I always think of that religion called West Virginia football. Did West Virginia University have a stance on this, or did they contact the legislators and at any point in the drafting of the bill to make their feelings known on the issue?
I didn't hear anything specifically about WVU in this case, which might mean they've been quiet, or it might mean I just didn't hear about it. And it's an interesting question because it's not something I thought about very much. The NCAA kind of does what they have to do, which is, they have to sort of maintain this image of the purity of amateur sports and all that good stuff, even though I'm just not sure how much of the public really buys it. But they don't really have any avenue to start supporting betting on their games. But I think as far as an individual university goes, like WVU doesn't really have to take a stance on this, and clearly they didn't come out that strong, or we would have all heard more about it. And Marshall as well. They've got a pretty major athletic program in the state. Those are the two big ones who just played each other in the NCAA tournament a couple days ago.
I know a lot of people are saying that once sports betting is allowed in New Jersey casinos and racetracks, online sports betting is sure to follow. I know DraftKings just opened up an office in New Jersey and appointed a head of sports betting. So it looks like they see online sports betting on the horizon. Has West Virginia started making plans for online sports betting if the ruling comes back favorable to sports betting?
I think they have. I definitely think that online is going to be part of what gets done in West Virginia. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Actually, Gambling Compliance, which is an industry research firm, just released a free report the other day. Anyone can check it out. Their site, gamblingcompliance.com. And they did a report just analyzing the West Virginia sports betting outlook. And online was a huge part of their analysis. So they clearly believe that West Virginia is going to go online, and in other states, I think in most of the states that legalize sports betting, you'll see online sports betting. And actually, I actually just heard, I think it was yesterday, that West Virginia had come out and said that they wouldn't require on-site registration at casinos for online sports betting. So that kind of seems to confirm as well that online is part of the plans there. And just to clarify on that last point, in the state of Nevada, there is online sports betting now, but in order to partake, you have to register at an actual casino, which really horribly curtails their potential there. There's been talk about doing that for online gambling in some states too, but thankfully it hasn't come to fruition in any state. Basically, it kills so much the potential for that industry to really go anywhere when you require in-person registration. So West Virginia, they're definitely planning online and are looking at doing it the right way.
When we talk about online, I know West Virginia doesn't even have online casinos. What's the status on the online casinos before they start doing online sports betting? It seems logical for me, get the online casinos, that gives them the platform, and you can do the betting right through those platforms. But what is the status of online casinos themselves in West Virginia?
The status right now is pretty much nothing happening, and it's unlikely that it's going to happen, at least in the very near future, just because they're going to be so focused on what they just did with sports betting. But the same state house representative, Sean Fluharty, who was so positive about sports betting, has also been advocating online gambling, online casinos in the state, online poker, and those products could be coming in the next couple of years, but they would have to pass separate legislation. And there's a good chance that many of the states who get involved in sports betting are going to address online gambling separately, just because I think more than anything because of the interest groups involved. Even if there's similar products that seem to everybody like they should go hand in hand, a lot of states they're looking to the sports leagues for what to do on sports betting or to sports stakeholders, and for other forms of gambling, they're looking more to the casinos and to other groups. And so while there is some overlap in who's talking about each, it just seems like separate legislation is probably going to be the way things go down, at least over the next couple of years.
One of the great things I always think when I grew up in New Jersey is that I saw the evolution of Atlantic City. And my dad used to tell me when he went to Atlantic City before the casinos, they had the steel pier, the diving bell, and the diving horse. Now, you lived in West Virginia before there were casinos. What was the evolution of West Virginia like as it just started becoming a gambling state?
It's an interesting question because I grew up in Charleston, but when I was in college, my dad moved out to the area known as Cross Lanes or around there, and that's where the at the time the dog track was, which is now Mardi Gras Casino. It's the only casino that's really in the center of the state. And when I would go to that dog track, which I went to a handful of times in the early to mid 2000s, I would definitely call it a very seedy place. It was just a small track for greyhound racing, and they had some slot machines in there. I can't remember if they were real slots or kind of video fake slots or the kind of things they have in lottery centers or whatever. But they had some other gambling devices in there. But it was the kind of place that you didn't see any of the normal people from town and hanging out there. It was other people hanging around. I don't know. I didn't go there a ton of times, but it was definitely not the kind of place that you'd call your friends and decide to go out to. Even though a lot of my friends were into gambling and poker and stuff like that, it was just not a place that anyone really ever thought to go. And now they've turned it into this full-on casino. It's pretty nice, Mardi Gras. I haven't actually been there, but I've seen a lot of pictures and heard a lot about it. And it seems like they've turned it into a really a nice place for people who like to go out for that kind of entertainment.
Adam, we're running out of time, but I want to remind everyone to stay on top of these important issues at PennBets.com and NJOnlineGambling.com. Adam Small, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much, Dave. It's great to be on.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You've been hearing me talk about MyPillow and the benefits of using it to get a good night's sleep, alleviate your sore neck and back, and the special deal you can get from MyPillow through the show. Well, not only can you pick up the special deal for 4 MyPillows when you use promo code CARDS, but now you can get $100 off your purchase of the MyPillow mattress. Yeah, that's right, the MyPillow mattress. The MyPillow mattress comes with a 10-year warranty and a 120-day money-back guarantee. The MyPillow mattress is made up of 3 unique layers, providing you the comfort and support to fall asleep and stay asleep all night. It even has the luxurious Dream Soft cover, which is stain-resistant and stays cool all night. Just head on over to MyPillow.com, click on the MyPillow mattress link, and enter promo code CARDS at checkout to get $100 off your order. Or call 1-800-319-7913 to order by phone. That's MyPillow.com or call 1-800-319-7913 and use promo code CARDS. Better sleep starts with MyPillow.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Well, we're quickly running out of time, but Doug, I know you got some announcements to make.
Well, just want to let everyone know to enjoy the NCAA Final Four.
Absolutely, can't wait.
Enjoy what's going on with free agency.
Just watch. I'm just watching it now because my brackets are. I just might as well rip them up.
I was out right off the bat, so I suffered the fate of a lot of people. This has been a very good March Madness.
Entertaining, not profitable, but entertaining.
Well, I guarantee you somebody's got a perfect bracket still.
Yeah, I wonder if they do, like they have a program that shoots out all these algorithms that you can have like about 1,000 different brackets and 1,000 different combinations. I know they do that in fantasy sports. I wonder if they do it with these bracket things.
I just like the guys that, I just filled out my 50th bracket.
Yeah, right.
You really have time to do all that. Well, whatever.
I like the people who fill out their brackets. Oh, what color uniform is this team? And you know what? They probably win.
Well, they're probably doing better than a lot of people
they probably
this year.
Win, so.
Go ahead and check out our sponsors, beangenius.com/subscription. Get 10% off your purchase using our promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E. Head on over to MyPillow. You get MyPillow Radio Special, 4 pillows for the price of 1. Use our promo code CARDS, C-A-R-D-S. And you can also check out our friends over at NJOnlineGambling.com and PennBets.com.
Oh, and don't forget the international bikini team. get their calendar.
Michelle Walls and the International Bikini Team. Check them out, internationalbikiniteam.org. Pick up their calendar for $10 and email them at info@internationalbikiniteam.org for more information.
Well, like Doug said, enjoy the basketball this weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Turnpike.